In a world that feels more and more chaotic, it's easy to wonder, where do we find any stable ground? So today we're going to dive into some really profound teachings about suffering and, way more importantly, how we can actually navigate it in our real everyday lives.
It all really boils down to this one big question. A question that feels more relevant than ever. I mean, if every single one of us just wants to be happy, why is there so much struggle? Out in the world, in our own communities, and maybe most of all, inside our own heads? Now, what's so wild about the answer we're exploring is that it completely flips the script. We are so used to blaming our circumstances, right? We blame other people, we blame the state of the world for our unhappiness. But this perspective, it turns the spotlight right back on us. The source of the problem, and therefore the solution, is right inside the mind itself.
Okay, so let's start with the diagnosis. Why do we all suffer? Well, the core idea here is that suffering isn't some random thing that just happens to us. It actually comes from a very specific conflict, this constant, grinding tension between what our minds are always demanding and the way reality actually is.
Just think about how this plays out in your own life. An untrained mind is in this constant state of push and pull. It desperately grabs onto pleasant things, trying to make them last forever. At the same time, it recoils from anything painful, trying to avoid it at all costs. It clings so tightly to its ideas about who we are, it's terrified of change, and it demands control over a world that is, let's be honest, fundamentally uncontrollable. And that constant, exhausting tension, yeah, that's where suffering is born.
So how does this tension actually build? Let's zoom in a little closer on the two main forces at work here. The two forces that basically create what we could call a cage of our own making.
And this is just a brilliant way to describe what that mind feels like, right? It is relentless. It's jumping from memories about the past to anxieties about the future, just creating these endless stories and judgments and comparisons. This monkey mind is always looking for a better moment, a better feeling, a better life, anywhere but right here, right now.
So here's the crucial point. This restless mind is driven by two incredibly powerful forces, desire and fear. Desire is the voice that says, I need this thing, this person, this status to be happy. And then fear immediately jumps in and says, and if I lose it, I will completely fall apart. You see how they work together? They build this cage of attachment where our peace of mind is basically a hostage to what's happening on the outside.
And this is the great turning point. This is where everything shifts. The whole idea is to stop this exhausting, impossible project of trying to control every little aspect of life. Instead, we can shift all that energy toward a much more powerful goal, understanding how our own mind works, because that is where real freedom is found.
Okay, so if understanding is the goal, what exactly are we trying to understand? Well, the answer is that suffering isn't just one big solid thing. It's actually a super fast, predictable chain of reactions, a chain that, believe it or not, we can actually learn to see and even break.
So let's just walk through how this works. It all starts with simple contact. You see a nasty comment online. Instantly, a feeling arises, unpleasant. Then comes craving. I want this feeling to go away, now. Then you grasp onto that reaction, maybe with a surge of anger. Then comes becoming. You start thinking, I am the person who's been attacked. And boom, the final link in the chain clicks into place, suffering.
And here is the single most important part of this whole thing. This entire chain reaction can happen in less than a second. It's so fast it feels completely automatic, like it's inevitable, but it's not. It is just a habit. And the amazing news about habits, they can be seen, they can be understood, and with awareness, they can be changed.
So, we've gone through the diagnoses. Now, let's talk about the prescription. It's a concept called awakening, but let's not get spooked by the word. Think of it less like some mystical, far-off state and more like a really practical skill, the skill of simply seeing clearly.
And honestly, this definition is so empowering. Awakening isn't about becoming some perfect person or escaping the world. It is the simple but totally profound realization that since your suffering is generated by your own mental reactions, you, and only you, hold the power to release it. It's the end of blaming the world and the beginning of real inner freedom.
This whole process starts with what you could call disidentification. Think about how we talk. We say, I am angry, or I am anxious. We fuse our entire identity with a temporary emotional state. But what if these states are just something you experience, not something you fundamentally are?
And this leads to this absolutely beautiful metaphor to explain it.
Your thoughts, your emotions, your fears, they're all just like clouds passing through the sky. They come, they hang around for a bit, and then they go. But you are not the clouds. You are the vast, open, stable sky that they're all moving through.
So how do you actually practice being the sky? Well, this is where mindfulness comes in. And it's not just a relaxation technique. It's really this active art of remembering who you truly are underneath all that mental noise. It's about learning to observe your thoughts and feelings without getting totally swept away by them, to witness the clouds without becoming the storm.
Okay, but here's a super important point. This inner work isn't about escaping the world and just sitting on a cushion all day. Let's explore how this practice of finding inner peace translates directly into how we can act in a compassionate, balanced way in a really challenging world. You see, when you start to really understand your own mind's tendency to create suffering, you can't help but understand the suffering of others. Hatred, as you see here, is a prison. It just binds you up in separation and anger. Compassion, on the other hand, that's liberation. It's recognizing that we are all in this struggle together. It's not a weakness at all. It's the highest form of strength.
So in a world that feels so polarized, this path is called the middle way. But don't let the name fool you. It is not a passive, wishy-washy thing at all. It's an active, engaged skill set. It means really listening to people, questioning our own rigid assumptions, holding our views just a little more lightly, staying open to change, and always choosing balance over the constant pull of extremes.
So let's just hammer this home because it's probably the most misunderstood part. The goal here isn't to detach and float away from the world's problems. It is the exact opposite. It's about learning to participate more fully, more wisely, and more effectively, with a heart that's stable and open even when things get tough. And this really leaves us with such a simple, beautiful instruction for moving forward. No matter what chaos is swirling around you, this can be your anchor. Gentle steps, an open heart, and a clear mind. So, as we wrap this up, let's bring it all the way back down to earth, right here, right now for you. Forget about some huge goal of enlightenment. The path begins with one tiny step. So the question is, how can you find just one single moment today to pause and see your own mind clearly?